muy fuerte.
Do you think that the government should help the poor people by providing education or sending them to the military?
I think that if you are looking at an entire number of people, which is a lot of poor people, you need to start with education. And then if there are people that are going through the education system and feel like they would like to contribute to the military, then they can have that as a choice. Start with education.
What can be the advantages and the disadvantages?
When you are growing up, the only options and choices and things that you think about is basically coming from somewhere else. And for most of us, that's been going through school and learning about things, and what you're exposed to in school, you start to think about, oh, what do I like to do, what do I like to do? And so if you have a good education that goes for longer, then you're going to have more skills, more choices.
If you were the Prime Minister, would you choose to send them to the military or give them education?
Well, in my personal opinion, I'm strongly in favor of education. So, as John Dewey put it, education is one of the basic key of life. So I would send them to be educated so that they can help contribute to society, which is a better opportunity than going to the military. Where now in today's society, militaristic conquests are not really a good option.
Instead of sending them to the military or for education, where else could you send them to or provide them with?
Well, considering today's society with such a modernized development of society, most people will probably become blue collar or white collar workers. They probably work in the offices, factories. It's very modern. Instead of going to school, and most people, college dropouts today, go to work as maybe waiters or office workers. A lot of stuff. It can be even like receptionists. So education is a big key, but it's not really that important. And military today is not so important today in our society that has been very developed and has developed world peace.
Thank you.
Finally, of course, it makes sense of it, so it involves interpreting.
What happened, Edwin?
I'm really very tired. Really. Thank you for the dinner, Mrs. Chong.
You're welcome. You can treat me when you're successful.
Mrs. Chong. It's time for our dinner.
Ask me my 3 main priorities for government, and I tell you, education, education, and education. Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education.
It is because education is the great liberator, the greatest liberator mankind has ever known, and the greatest force for social progress.
Higher education is a finishing school for the middle class.
Education, education, and education.
And the greatest force for social progress.
For the middle class.
Ask me my 3 main priorities for government, and I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you.
Higher education is a finishing school.
And the greatest force for social progress.
And I tell you, education, education, and education.
For the middle class.
It is because education is the great liberator and the greatest force for social progress.
And I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you, and I tell you.
Higher education is a finishing school.
The greatest liberator mankind has ever known, and the greatest force for social progress.
Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education.
Higher education is a finishing school for the middle class.
Education is the great liberator. Education and the greatest force for social progress. Education, the greatest liberator mankind has ever known.
Higher education is a finishing school for the middle class.
Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education. Education, education, and education.
The greatest liberator mankind has ever known. The greatest liberator mankind has ever known. The greatest liberator mankind has ever known.
For the middle class.
Sean, is it broccoli?
Mini trees.
It is. It's broccoli.
For students at Brooklyn's PS 133K school, it's time for their favourite class, and there's not a pen or book in sight. On the teaching agenda, how to make a salad.
Yep, into the salad dressing.
This is Cookshop, a nutrition education program run by the Food Bank for New York City. It's designed to change eating habits in low-income neighbourhoods where children are more likely to eat junk food because it's cheap and readily available.
Our biggest consumers are kids. So if we can get kids to, Mommy, I want to eat carrots. Mommy, get that. This is more healthy for you. That's half the battle right there.
Yay!
The federally funded program is taught in more than 700 schools across New York City, and there are also classes for teenagers and parents.
Cut it down the middle if you like.
They learn about fruit and vegetables and how to cook them. All the adults involved in Cookshop agree the key ingredient to success is this hands-on part. It's practical. It's not just theory, they're not just watching the teachers doing it, they're doing it themselves. And that means they're more likely to go home and do it with their parents. Derek, can I try some of your vegetables? Thank you. Learning healthy eating habits is one thing, finding the right food is another. In one low-income New York neighbourhood, a health survey found only 25% of local stores sold fruit and just 4% stocked green vegetables. New York City Planning Commission has approved incentives to encourage the development of more grocery stores in poor and minority communities. But a healthy diet doesn't come cheap. Fruit and vegetables are often too expensive, so better access may not translate into better eating. But advocates say it's a step in the right direction.
Government and the private sector, be it the schools and the non-profits, the parents themselves and other community leaders, have actually come together around an issue that nobody disagrees about. You know, everybody would agree that nutrition education for children and teens is a priority.
Now for a quick poll.
My favorite vegetable is carrots.
Why?
Because carrots are healthy for your eyes and they have lots of vitamins. My favorite vegetable is an apple because it's nice and sweet and you could really eat a lot.
But as with most activities involving children, which vegetable don't you like at all and why?
The celery, because sometimes when I taste it, I just get a nasty taste to it.
You can't win them all. Kath Turner, Al Jazeera, Brooklyn, New York.